Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Yesterday, you heard the Coast Guard Commandant discuss sudden scarcity of drug plane landings in Belize. And while that is a good thing, we know that global cocaine demand remains high. And it's not like the global transnationals are going out of business, so where is it coming from? Well, how about southern Belize? A joint law enforcement team, including the BDF and the Coast Guard and police, yesterday found 3 clandestine plantations of the coca plant along the Sarstoon River near the remote Graham Creek village in the Toledo district. The coca plant is used to produce cocaine. Unidentified culprits had basically set up the early makings of a cocaine labs on the southern edge of Belizean territory. So that joint law enforcement team went out to that part of the country and destroyed approximately 120,000 plants on all 3 of those plantations. During a press encounter today, we asked General Loria, the head of the Belize Defense Force, about that anti-drug operation. Here are his comments.
This morning, there was a special operation conducted in that area that you mentioned, southwest of Graham Creek. It's a small village close to the Sarstoon River, about 2 kilometers or about a mile and a half, a little bit more than a mile and a half north of the Sarstoon, where we discovered 3 plantations, coca plantations. But that was something inbound to happen. The Guatemalans, they have destroyed some about 3 to 5 kilometers to the south of that general area where we discovered the plantation. So the first plantation had about 10,000 plants ranging in 2 to 3 feet. The second plantation had about 20,000 plants of the same height. And the other one was a really huge plantation of about 80,000 coca plants. And that's we went there to destroy along with the police and the Coast Guard.
In Belizean territory?
In Belizean territory, just north of the Sarstoon. So we will keep patrolling the areas as we have done. And we caught this on time. They were not mature yet. It has been recently planted.
Recent human activity within that vicinity?
That is part of the investigation. We are tracking that, but we are investigating it at this point in time, and we will report in due course. But of course, there has to be some activity in that area. Remember that the farms are not too far away from that same village that I told you about. The area in question, usually the transnational criminal organizations, they look for remote areas, and that is a remote area for them to conduct their illicit activities. The police cannot reach there. We have operational reach, and we can reach up to all the confines of the country of Belize, and that's what we are doing. Usually, the Belize Defense Force conducts air flights, air reconnaissance missions that we call it, and looking around our borders to see for any of those plantations, those illegal activities happening.
Tonight, 3 families in Hattieville are mourning the loss of their father, son, brother, and friend Leroy McCoy Fuller. The 51-year-old was found buried in a shallow grave just yards from his home around 8:30 this morning. That crime scene was an extremely live one today as the cops conducted operations right off the nation's busiest highway. 7 News was on the scene waiting for a positive ID on Fuller, and that's when Cherise Househall spoke to his mother. Here's that story.
Police were scouring the area at mile 15 today, looking for clues after a shallow grave was found near the Hector Creek Bridge in Hattieville. And not too long after, they were joined by several families, all of whom were searching for missing loved ones. They stood transfixed and petrified, hoping that the body brought out wouldn't be identified as their relative. But the mother of the deceased wasn't on that scene. We found her sitting in the rubble of what Hurricane Lisa left of her house. But she was already convinced that the man buried in that shallow grave was indeed her son, Leroy McCoy Fuller.
I bam! One bullet! And the next day they can't find my son. But you know what happened? Timber go over the bridge, sky smoke crack. He borrowed my son bike the Monday night, and he bring it back, and when he don't smoke, he gone back again. And I right then and that and I shoot him.
And this morning, when the grave was discovered, a remnant of Fuller Timba's wardrobe was found nearby.
They say a grave to shoot the cut off there. And when they dig, look, I must think kind of see. They see slippers, right? And they see one he drop of blood. Timber working, Timber not thief, nobody. All he do the hustler, he not go nowhere, only go buy crack and come back. Too nice, no? Yeah, when a big laughing back there, got a big laughing. Got the crack in, I know, you see, yeah. But the other right, you work. He not a working piece of black man here, a brother black like Timber, but he could work. I don't know what they kill him for. He not do nobody nothing. As you want somebody argue, he and somebody argue. Bye-bye.
But McCoy said one person that will miss her son perhaps as much as she will is their lifelong neighbor, Miss Pearl. She had plans to include Timba in her Christmas celebrations.
But my question is, who would want to kill Leroy Fuller? Who would like to kill him? He not just one fun person always the run joke, you understand? Who would want to kill him? Monday night was the last night I see her. He did at my house about after 8. And I tell you, just to give a joke, that boy just to make we laugh. He said, I'm going home now, and I tell Timber, I want you to promise me one thing. He said, what? I said, I want you to go home, and please, Timber, not go back over the bridge. He said, I want to do that.
Now, these women who have already endured one loss are calling on the police department to bring some security back to their neighborhood.
That bridge, I don't want dangerous bridge. When you hear night to come in. Because right then and that you want to kill you. Look here, them people has been no want nothing. They put like the 2 different times and boy just shut it down with slingshot. You know. But I don't want Mr. Chester put back this checkpoint here for me. The kind of got some young boy where they trail down now with gun that night time.
I tell you, when that police booth was there, I was feeling so safe. And by God, my children called me and tell me the booth gone. I said, oh my goodness. And I like it. I really would want Chester look into it and put back that booth there.
Cherise Househall, 7 News.
Fuller leaves behind 4 children, a 26-year-old daughter and 3 young sons. For the last few days, we've been telling you about the challenges within the sugar industry, where the Miller BSI ASR is anxious to start the 2022-2023 crop season. 3 of the cane farming associations are also ready. However, all stakeholders are caught in an impasse due to the protracted commercial disagreement between BSI ASR and the biggest of the 4 associations, Belize sugar cane farmers. They want the Sugar Industry Control Board to legally announce the start of the season via publication in the Gazette. But the Sugar Board and its chairman are delaying in the hopes that BSI ASR and the BSCFA can reach a last-minute compromise. So, the start of the harvest is now being delayed by 8 days and counting. Stuck in the middle of all that frustration is the Briceño government, which is tasked to do its best to ensure that the industry does not suffer another costly late start. This morning we got a chance to ask Prime Minister Briceño about the stalemate, and here's what he had to say about his administration's attempts to address this challenging time in the industry.
To be honest with you, I've not seen the mediation report. I'm waiting for that. They're supposed to give me a copy. I hope I could get it before Friday. That is in 2 days' time. The mediation efforts came to an end, I think Friday or probably mid-Saturday. I'm not sure what I know on Friday. Both sides, I think it's an issue where both sides have to find a way how they can compromise to come up with something that is going to be working in the interest of everyone. As I mentioned, BSI cannot exist without the farmers, and the farmers cannot exist without BSI. And us as a government, we have to be able to walk that thin line in trying to find that right balance. We have been doing everything to encourage the process so that they can find common ground. We're not there yet. I'm still hopeful that we can get there. The plan now is that we are hoping, we're asking for, I know BSI issued a press release saying that they're prepared to sign on for 2 years, but we believe we don't need 2 years. We are going to ask for 1 year for both of them, and then to work in earnest now seriously, and then that that probably BSI then can present the actual cost of manufacturing the what we call the direct consumption sugars, for instance, the actual cost to get to the net ship value as part of the negotiation, so that again the Belize Cane Farmers Association, Sugar Cane Farmers Association could also see and then convince themselves that maybe BSI is right, maybe not. So that I think we need to look as the next step. So we're going to be asking for a year. We will be inviting the Belize Cane Farmers, Belize Sugar Cane Farmers Association, the BSCFA, to address the cabinet. Minister Mai has been for some time wanting us to meet with them, so we'll probably invite them early. And then after that, I guess we then have to invite BSI also to hear both sides.
We also asked the PM about the rising frustration of the cane farmers who have signed agreements with the mill and are ready to deliver cane, but are being negatively impacted in a fight that does not even concern them. Early indications are that at least one association is considering legal action against the SICB for the delay in the start of the crop. Here's what the Prime Minister had to say about it.
8 days is good productivity time.
Well, good productivity, but remember around Christmas time, when I shut down at least 2 days Christmas and the 26th, so we're talking probably 6 days.
6 days, okay, sure.
But 6 days is a lot, and I agree with you. We wanted to open the crop on the 19th. What happened is that when the Sugar Board, the acronym everybody remembers, when the Sugar Board met on Saturday, the two entities, BSI and the Cane Farmers Association, they were still meeting. And there was a hope that something could have worked out. And to be able to give an opportunity for that process to work, they said, okay, let's set the 27th of December to be able to open up. So I'm going to impress on the Sugar Board to be able to work with everyone and to be able to get the crop going as quickly, as soon as possible. And the best time possible at this time is going to be the 27th of December.
Isn't the chairman sort of infringing on the rights of those other three associations? Their livelihoods took an injury last year due to this problem. And I understand that some of them are considering taking legal action to force the Sugar Board to issue that gazette, sir.
Well, I think that's a matter for them to decide what action they would want to take. I can tell you from our end, we're doing everything possible to get the crop going as quickly as we possibly can. We have to be the honest broker. These are two private entities. It's not something that we can say rule in favor of the farmers, and then BSI is going to take us to court. If we rule in favor of BSI, the farmers will take us to court. So we have to walk this thin line.
The press also asked Prime Minister Briceño if his government would forge ahead and implement the increase in minimum wages to $5 an hour by the start of the new year. Last week, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry made the point that they agree that the increase should happen, but they're asking the government to implement it in a phased approach similar to the increase in Social Security contributions. They point out that the financial strain on the private sector would be significant, and that a resulting negative consequence in job securities for the Belizean laborer who should benefit from this change. When the press brought that topic up, the PM insisted that his administration will implement the $5 an hour minimum wage increase on January 1st. Here's that conversation.
The minimum Wage, will it be implemented in full in January?
The plan is that we want to implement it on the 1st of January.
In full?
In full.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, the Belize Chamber of Commerce has made a case that, look, we're going to add $200 million to the wage bill for the private sector overnight with that decision, and they're asking for a phase-in approach.
I don't think it's overnight because we've been telling them it was in Plan Belize, and we've been telling them over and over this is coming. The minimum wage has not increased in 10 years. And we have the issue of inflation. I mean, and then you have poor people who make $3.30. Well, please. And I'm just appealing to the private sector for them to do their part. They are going to benefit, because the more money people have, the more they can spend, the more they can afford to go and buy in their stores. So the private sector, they are going to benefit. And most businesses have already paying more than $5 per hour than what we're proposing. I think of the 100,000 plus workers, about 30,000 and are earning less than $5. So by doing this, all of this will be will be getting in effect a much needed raise.
We also asked the Prime Minister about the Public Sector Workers' Trust and the fight over those $8 million in payback. As we told you, those funds date back to the Manuel Esquivel administration. Back in 1995 to 1997, the former government imposed an increment and wage freeze for all teachers and public officers who were serving at that time. Former PM Manuel Esquivel gave them 450,000 shares in BTL to make it up to them. The dividends from those shares were supposed to compensate the teachers and the public officers affected by the wage freeze.
Wind it up. And to all of the people that, because it's not everybody that will benefit. I think it's only the people that were working in 1997, right? So we need to, I believe that maybe it's best to just wind it down, sell off the shares, whatever assets they may have, and then take the money and share it among the trust, the people, the beneficiaries. Because if we have somebody managing or a group of managing, we're spending the money and the real beneficiaries are not getting the necessary benefit that they should be getting.
So it creates a vacuum that the Public Sector Workers Trust, even though the funds, the beneficiaries from that 95 to 97 cohort say they don't agree with that, they try to at least provide development opportunities for public officers. What happens in that?
The problem with that it's not workable. I mean, how many people are going to benefit? How many people are going to borrow and they say they borrow and they don't pay, or they say they give out food and they give out so much and they say they give out much more. I think it has been there for so long. Some of the beneficiaries have already died. They've passed away. So maybe it's. I would have to get legal advice from the Attorney General, but maybe it's time to seriously consider winding it up and let the beneficiaries get what they deserve.
Sir.
We caught up with the Prime Minister today at the BDF's Price Barracks compound in Ladyville, where the PM and members of his cabinet participated in the annual Christmas luncheon for the soldiers. While he was there, his government handed over 10 Hino trucks to the BDF High Command, and our news team had a front row seat to see the PM's heavy truck driving skills. Daniel Ortiz has that story.
For today's handing over ceremony, the highlight was probably when Prime Minister John Bracino jumped into the driver's seat of one of the 10 brand new Hino trucks and, putting his past experience of operating heavy machinery in sugar cultivation, he drove it a few feet forward. While trying to return the trucks to its previous position, he reversed it a little too close to a container behind. The crowd of soldiers all exclaimed, both in delight and concern, that their country's commander-in-chief was going to put the first few scratches on their brand new BDF ride. But that didn't happen. And the Prime Minister used that moment of organic comedy to open his remarks.
If I get demoted and I can work with BDF, I want to be able to drive one of those trucks. Because the truck has AC, I have nice seats and everything, and it drive well. I just drive it just a few, I leave it. I know many of you thought I could not drive a truck, so I wanted to point out to you. We come from the north, Florencio and I, and so we are keen farmers, so we drive tractors. I don't know if I could do it anymore.
It was all in good fun and to celebrate the arrival of much-needed equipment that the BDF has been requesting for years. The Prime Minister says that the funds were sourced from that Kabay loan that Belizeans have been hearing about since term 2 of the Barrow administration.
Today is a demonstration of what your government is trying to do for you. We expect a lot from you. We demand a lot from you. And at the very least we can do as a government is to be able to give you the tools for you to be able to do your work effectively and efficiently. There's a lot that we have to be able to catch up with you with these 10 trucks, and we have another 5 that was already donated. So that's 15 new trucks that we're waiting for the BDF. There's been this loan at Kabay that the government has been working for many years, and for some reason or the other, to work for security. It's a loan for $60 million, and that loan has been in the works for probably about 8 years, almost 8 years. And once we got into government and we realized that this was available, we spoke with the people at Economic Development, and Dr. Martinez took it upon himself to ensure or to find ways how we can get this loan working for our country and working for you here at the BDF.
The Prime Minister announced today that out of that $60 million loan from Kabay, half of it will be used to improve or increase the resources of the BDF.
Of that $60 million, $30 million is going to be invested with BDF, with all of you. This is just a start. I must tell you, it's shameful to see your living headquarters where you are, or your barracks, sorry. The general constantly correcting me that it's your barracks, it's not a living quarters. And so part of the funding, we met with the officials from Kabay, and we said that we have an emergency and that we need to work on some of your barracks now. So we will be getting the funding, or get it already. If early in the new year, we'll be able to build your restaurant, and also two barracks for all of you. So apart from the trucks, you're going to be getting your barracks and your restaurant. I don't know why they call it restaurant. I hope that they don't expect you to pay for your food. That's another matter for another day. But the point is that whilst it may seem like a big deal, it's the least that we can do for you all. Because you are the ones that are risking your life pretty much every day. When you're out in the bush, when you're out there at the border within Belize and Guatemala, we know that it's a sensitive area and that you have to be operating at your optimum, at your 100%. We cannot afford a mistake in that region because it could quickly escalate.
But these hardworking servicemen and women have heard elected politicians make big promises like this. This Kabay loan started back in 2013.
I was a commanding officer at the time at Belisario, Camp Belisario, and we were requested to submit estimates to refurbish our barrack rooms or living quarters or accommodations, which we did. From that time, we were told that it was going to be a Kabay loan through the government of Belize. That we waited and waited and waited, and that did not materialize until this year. Finally.
Any explanation as to why it took so long, those 7 years, sir?
There was no explanation given as to why the wait, but I assume that it was because of the bureaucracies, but finally we got it, and that was the intent.
Kabay has already agreed to release the funds for for the barracks and for the and restaurants. So that is going to be released, I think, in the first quarter of the year. We have been pressing on them. Kabe, we've also convinced Kabe to open an office in Belize. So they're going to be having a country office in Belize because they want to work closer with the government, and they believe that by being on ground, that we can get more of these things done more effectively and more efficiently. $30 million is going to be made available for the BDF. The other 30 is going to be used between the police and the Coast Guard.
Reporting for 7 News, Daniel Ortiz.
And we'll take a break now. When we come back, the PM goes from truck driver to waiter. We'll show you him and his kitchen cabinet serving up for the soldiers after the break.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Before the break, we showed you the first of two celebrations that the government and the BDF celebrated. The donation of those 10 trucks to the BDF happened at their annual Christmas luncheon, which the High Command of the military hosts to honor the rank and file soldiers. Here now is that story on a luncheon where the waiters are from the kitchen cabinet.
This afternoon, Prime Minister John Briceño and members of his cabinet joined the commanders of the BDF in their long tradition of serving a Christmas luncheon to soldiers. We saw the PM expertly stacking plates of food and moving around the crowds of soldiers delivering the Christmas meal. He was joined by the National Defense Minister of State Oscar Mira, a retired serviceman, and Cabinet Secretary Stuart Leslie, who later switched to handing out apples. Foreign Affairs Minister Eamon Courtney was tasked to deliver cupcakes with little toy soldiers as dessert, and he was joined by Attorney General Magali Marin Young. They may be top government officials, but the symbolic gesture of catering to the rank and file of the BDF was a way of honoring the soldiers' commitment and personal sacrifices to be on the front lines in the defense of Belize's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Man, the Honorable Prime Minister John Briceño was here again. Last year he was here, and this year again. So that speaks volumes of the leadership in government supporting the troops, and we would want that to continue for as long as we could.
It's become a tradition where you all have a lunch together as soldiers, as comrades, as brothers and sisters, and that we can be here to help to serve you at least for one day of the year, and make sure to put the general for work double as hard since we serve him all year round. So this is the time that he will be able to work for you. And certainly, Minister Marin, we can't make him get either. I want to thank you on behalf of the government and thank you on behalf of all Belizeans for the work that you do walking out there under the sun, under the rain, in the mud, in the jungle, mosquitoes, the heat, and the list can go on. It is an incredible job that you do for us Belizeans. And many times we take it for granted, we Belizeans, that, we know the BDF out there, BDF is taking care of everything, but every single day it becomes more dangerous, it becomes more troubling, it becomes more tense, because we continuously are having more and more incursions of Guatemalans into our land, into our country, and we have to make sure that we can manage that as humanely as possible, but at the same time as firmly as possible, for them to understand that this side of the border belongs to Belize. Every single square inch belongs to each and every one of us, and thanks to you, we have managed to take care of those borders very well.
After those remarks, the PM and his cabinet team shared the Christmas meal with the soldiers at Price Barracks, enjoying each other's company as fellow citizens in service of Belize and its citizens. Several of the soldiers received promotions and special honors. Even Minister of State Mira, a retired 22-year veteran of the BDF, received a special commendation to recognize his career as a soldier.
In the Belize Defense Force, we have our promotion conferences every June, mid of the year and the ending of the year, and that is something standard since the inception of the BDF. Today we promoted here on the activities. We promoted a few, about 10 of them, but the list is longer than that. The Belize Defense Force is a large organization. We promoted some of them. As per tradition, we keep in giving prizes to the best soldier, to the best performers. We recognize them for their outstanding contribution. For Hurricane Lisa, we encourage physical fitness, which all, including myself, I think I'm average, but for those that they get 100% on all the physical activities, when it comes to the exams, we give them a monetary contribution. That is part of tradition as well, so that they could continue to get fit, and it will stimulate others to keep on getting fitter.
What was the commendation given to Minister Mira?
Minister Mura, the commendation given to him is that he retired about 6 or 7 years ago. But and we usually provide a blue book that we call the blue book. Signifies that he has served time with the Belize Defense Force, and the soldier is recognized, and that is written in that blue book. He did not get it for whatever reasons, and today we decided to honor him. That he served a bit more than 22 years. He was a soldier, and now he's our Minister of State in the Ministry of National Defense and Border Security. We are proud of him.
Reporting for 7 News, Daniel Ortiz.
Early in the year, the BDF received several electronic equipment pieces, including computers and printers, through the Kabe loan. Every year, hundreds of families look to the Salvation Army to get help with that warm Christmas meal. In previous years, the organizations would distribute hampers, but they've begun to give out vouchers instead that can be redeemed at a supermarket. And Major Jonathan Kelman explained that this tradition is one that needy Belizean families really look forward to, since many times their pockets are stretched even thinner during the holidays.
This is, I guess you would say, the climax of the activities for the Christmas season in terms of the general public. We will do other smaller events, but this is the one that everybody looks forward to. And today, here at headquarters, we are distributing 350 food hampers, but across the country, we are distributing 800. And there are vouchers, so people will go to Publix, or if they're Santa Elena, they'll go to Lynn's. If they're in Hattieville, they go to J-Mall and redeem the vouchers for food items from the supermarket. They look forward to it because for some of them, they're already stretching their dollars, or some of them don't have much dollars to stretch. So they look forward to this small package to give them a meal for their family for Christmas. Even though you see one person here, it represents a number of people in the household. But we especially look towards the elderly, because they don't really get, especially if they're retired. There are not many people looking after them, or in terms of a sustained contribution, and their pension will be very low. So having this now, this adds to their provisions, and they're able to try to have a good meal and stretch it out. We do a screening process, and we mainly look for the senior citizens first of all. That's the main priority. Then after that, it may be single parent, single mothers, like that, with a number of children or something. But most time is the elderly. You see a cross section of people out there. We have our secretary that does that screening, and she's a good judge of the cases.
Every year I come here to get my pampers from Mr. Major. Every year, and not a lot of years ago. He helped me a lot, man. He helped me a lot because I am unemployed, and he helped me a lot. He put food on my table. Yes, he put food on my table. Yeah, in here out.
How much people live in your house?
Huh?
How much people you have at home?
So we live in the house. Me and my daughter and my grandson and great-grand.
What are you planning to make this year?
Well, we are eat up some leaf rice and beans and so, and if I get to eat turkey when they promise me and give me, yeah, make it more better. Thank you very much. Blondie, sir, thank you all very much. And I wish to see you next year.
Each voucher is valued at $45. And next, for something lighter, we bring you a Belizean curiosity. A snap portrait of Dangriga's own Elsie Bonilla, a woman who has been growing her nails for an astonishingly long time. Bonilla hasn't trimmed her claws in 34 years. The last time she put nail clippers to nail was in 1987, to put that in some perspective. Manuel Esquivel was prime minister at that time, and well, gas cost about $2.99 a gallon. As a result of Elsie's refusal to trim, most of her nails end in swirling masses of alpha keratin that at one time put her in the running to break world records. Cherise Halsal asked about the remarkable feature and the many ways they've been incorporated into Bonia's everyday life.
If you see Elsie Boom Boom Bonilla walking down the street in Dangraga, you might just have to do a double take. She has what may be the longest nails in Belize. In fact, at one point, she tried to have them declared the longest nails in the world.
Then I'll try getting a Guinness book, and then you have to reach 20
inches.
No, the number 20. Whatever the measurement for there, you have to be number 20. And the closer I reach, I'm at 23. But I get Belize because I never know nothing about Belize. I meet a lot of from Belize, and so I get Belize in the book, and so but I never get it. I never get it to 20. Then I start get sick, and I start broke, and so I give up on it like that.
And while she may not have the world record, she has quite the interesting and even dangerous tale about achieving this unique beauty standard.
Well, when I go to the nail salon, I say, well, you do a long nails. So I tell the Chinese girl, I say, I want my nails like that. She said, well, you got your hand frame for nails like that. She said, but you have to go through the treatments. So you just have to soak there, then you spray them, then I have to get what pills. We have to buy $87 for 6 pills. So every week I have about $87 worth of pills, and that's how my nails start grow.
No, I'm sure people all over the country want to know the secret. Yes. Why you soak it, Tina, and which pill?
Well, let me sue the people in New York, so they may stop make the thing where you soak it in and the pills, because sometimes you get your hand with low or you get it swell, and then that's one of the side effects of the pills. But I may determine it swell, whatever happens, I go right through till I get it where I may want.
Now, tell me about your nail care routine. What do you do every week to put on your polish, everything?
Well, I used to have to do it every 3 weeks. And then after like 10, 15 years, the girl used to do it, the Chinese girl named Jennifer, she got into the army. So I'm hard to find back a person who could maintain with me. Like, so I used to do it once a month.
Now,
so
we have to talk about some practical considerations. How you do things with their nails?
I do it the same way you do it.
Do you type at all at work?
No, I text. So yes, I type.
What other activities are kind of difficult to accomplish?
For put on my jeans pants or my sneakers, and I change my grandkids their pampers. I got 18 grand picnic.
Elsie Boom Boom manages to be a glamour despite the challenges her pincers pose. There is, of course, that one question that anybody who sees these nails immediately wonders about. I don't want to be crude, but that's the first question people ask me. How you wipe your...
The same way you wipe yours. Same way you wipe yours. Yes, but people always ask me that.
Cherise Halsell, 7 News.
Bonilla says that illness and breaking her thumbnail halted her ambitions at the record books. Finally, last night, we told you about the allegations of police brutality coming out of Santa Cruz Village in the East End Creek district. The family of 25-year-old Andrew McDougall alleges that police from Independence put a beat down on him 18 days ago when they caught him smoking a marijuana joint in public. The cops reported to their superior that McDougall behaved aggressively towards them, resisted arrest, and broke the windshield of their police mobile. Well, the family has released cell phone video, which they say was captured on the night that McDougall and the cops had a scuffle. This 49-second clip shows 2 police officers mishandling a man, which the family identifies as their loved one. One officer picks him up and bodily throws him into the back of the police pickup truck. Another officer is seen restraining the roughed-up civilian, and the entire time regular citizens are expressing outrage through the use of profanity. As viewers will remember, the family says that the injuries McDougall suffered at the hands of those officers caused complications due to his genetic blood disorder, which causes injuries not to heal quickly and properly. McDougall died at the KHMH yesterday, and the family points to the beatdown as the root cause of his death. We have contacted Commissioner Chester Williams, and he has agreed to discuss the case in details tomorrow. And so with that, we end our newscast for tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indira Craig. Remember, you can find a transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com and see streaming video on our Facebook, and YouTube pages. Stay tuned now for Uncut when Jules Vasquez interviews author Godfrey Smith. That's coming up in the next 10 minutes. Have a great night and join me back here tomorrow at 6.